Okay, our decline here, average picker. We'll get back to doing some picking videos soon. I've got a few lined up. But a lot of people seem to be interested in what's in, people's kits, especially when you're new and starting out. You're interested in what you should buy. So I just thought we'd do a little bit of a video on what's in my kit, look at how it kind of came to be this kit, and talk about, when you're starting out, what to look for and things like that. The video might run a little bit long. If it does, I will put links to the different sections of it down in the description. And because it's probably going to run a little bit long, we're probably going to end up chopping this up and doing it in some sections anyway. So I don't want to just sit here and talk straight for as long as it's probably going to be required. Okay, so when you're interested in lockpicking and you're just starting out, I get it. You don't want to go out and spend a lot of money because you're not sure if it's something you're going to stick with. I'm going to arguably say that by the time you get around to thinking you're interested in picking locks, you are probably going to stick around in it at least for a little bit. But I get it. You're not sure what to get. So you usually end up on Amazon and you find a pick kit for $7 or even $5. There's some $5 kits out there, which boggles my mind that you can make a pick set that cheap. But yeah, you're looking in the $5, maybe even up to the $12 range. They come with a clear, practice lock, and that's what you end up getting. Or you go over to the lockpicking subreddit and you ask, "Is this a good kit?" Honestly, the $5-7 range, you're talking about sofa money. I mean, you lose that in the cushions of your sofa. I can't tell you don't buy a $5 kit. If nothing else and you stick with it at $5, it's going to be, good practice for just grinding on, reshaping them or something later on. $5's just so incredibly cheap. That being said, I cannot think of a hobby that you can really get into for less than $50. So I think budget-wise, it's really not asking too much to say, hey, you probably need to look at the $50 range for getting started out in lockpicking. Though it can be done cheaper. And a little bit actually can get you fairly good ways. But keep in mind, and by the time, you buy the picks and you buy a couple locks, it's going to add up really quick. And you don't want to be replacing your picks. I think you're better off buying a few picks. It'll get you a longer distance and using the other money on locks, which is really, I need to start doing that same thing, kind of. So when you're looking at picks, there's a few aspects to it that you need to think about. Okay, so let's get this one lined up here. Okay, so there is the shape of the actual hook itself, right? This is a concern. There's the width of the shank, okay? And that's just how fat kind of the pick is there. And then you'll often find this number posted, and it's how thick the actual metal is, the width of the pick. And typically you will find these in 25 thousandths, 23 thousandths in some cases, and 15 thousandths is about the standard minimum. That you can get them lower and you can get them higher. A lot of the really cheap Amazon sets, what you're going to find is this thickness is around 30 thousandths, and that actually does make a big difference. And I'm going to assume that if you're only willing to spend $12 on a set of picks, that you're not willing then to sit down with a Dremel and grind this pick down evenly so that it's 25 or 15 thousandths wide. I'm guessing that is taking a little more patience and time than you want to spend on it, since you're only willing to go up to about $12. All right. But those are the three aspects you need to think about: the hook, the shank width, and the actual width of the pick itself. So the way I actually got started into this was through my girlfriend. She was kind of fascinated with people picking locks in TV shows and movies. And so I just thought it would be fun to get her a set of picks. I didn't really think she would be picking too much. I wasn't sure how much she was going to like it. But I wanted to get her a set of picks that was kind of aesthetically pleasing and that were decent. Just as kind of a present. We'd see where it went from there. So the first kit, what I bought her, was this one from Southord. Okay, I think this one probably cost around $48, I think. They do make some, I think, a 12 and 14 piece version. I went with the 20. I didn't know what to get. Honestly, I knew nothing at all about lockpicking or anything. I looked up some companies. This name kept coming up. I thought, hey, they must make good picks. And they were aesthetically pleasing. I mean, that to me just looks like a classic lockpick. I mean, when I think of a lockpick tool, that's what I think about. And so that's why I bought her this kit, right? And it was kind of a fun little present for a minute. But then we got interested in using it. So we bought the reload kit, which is really no longer in here. But we bought the reload kit from Sparrows later on. And we bought one of their Cutaway locks, right? Because I wanted to do what you wanted to do and save some money. And I thought, I can get a lot of mileage out of this lock. Because between the reload kit and this, we can at least pin this up 5, 6 different ways. And that's not even counting by the time you start pulling the security pins out of here and sticking the serrateds and the spools and all that in there. And trying those different combinations. So it seemed like a good place to start. So, the reload kit's about $20, and the standard Cutaway is about $25. So as long as you're willing to have some patience and take the time to change these pins out, you're getting a fair amount of, I'm going to say, variation for the money, I thought. So that's where we kind of started. The problem with this kit is the problem with a lot of kits. They have just a lot of stuff that you end up not using. Now, don't get me wrong. At first, we used everything. Hell, I was trying to pick with the key extractor, okay? I mean, we stuck every single thing that came with this thing into the lock, okay? I mean, and you can see it comes with a lot of the, that's some of the stuff. I'm not going to show you every single tool it comes with. But, I mean, we were trying to pick with everything. What we discovered, though, pretty quickly was we were only really using that pick, right? Let's see, yeah, that looks like it's coming into focus. This was really the only one we kept using. And this was a problem because we only had one, and we were both trying to pick. So that's when I decided, hey, this is a lot of fun. I really like it. I'm going to kind of invest in my own stuff and start jumping off from there. Now, what I had learned from picking this Cutaway, I don't know if I can do this backwards in the camera. What I'd learned was that what I wanted to look for in a pick. So we knew we already had this one, but I knew I wanted something, because when this went in, if you weren't real careful, it had a tendency to lift several pins at once, just because of how fat this little piece was. So I knew what I wanted was something that was a little bit tippier, maybe not quite as angled, and I wanted a thinner shank, okay? I knew from working on the Cutaway that that's what I was looking for in another pick. So I was like, I want a thinner shank and a tippier pick that's maybe not as steep, And then I knew, if that doesn't work out, I've got this one to fall back to, right? So I went over to Sparrows and I ordered what has become my favorite pick, and that's the Tron. Okay. I ordered the Sparrows Tron. It's in 25 thousandths. And I ordered their short hook. okay, in 15 thousandths, because I knew eventually I'm going to need a much thinner pick. And I had learned about top of keyway tensioning at that point, and so I ordered some top of keyway tensioners. Okay. So my pick kit, really, for a very long time, that was it. A Sparrow's Tron, a 15 thousandths short hook, and some top of keyway tensioners. If we're looking at the price at this point, the Tron, I think I spent $5.75 on. The short hook I got without a handle, and it was $4.75. And the tension set, I think, was like $12, right? So that was my initial kit, my own initial personal kit. And then if I needed to, I could borrow her Southford. Let's get that back in there. Okay. So that tells you, though, how little you need. This is not a fun kit to look at, you know. Someone, you go, oh, I'm into lock picking, and someone goes, oh, let me see your stuff, and you go, hey, I got 2 picks. But that's about the cheapest way I can think to tell you how to get into some quality picks. That's also going to get you pretty far. With those 2 picks, I mean, obviously I picked the Cutaway to death in about every single combination I could possibly come up with. I repinned this thing so many times it was ridiculous. That Tron, I got a whole slew of these. These are just common deadbolt household schlegs. I got a bunch of these really cheap because they had no key. Chewed through, you know, like 250 of these things. It'll do your standard quicks, obviously. It'll eat through those. What else have we got here that it gets through? I can't read the name anymore because I'm old. My eyes are crap. Pick through that one. Let's see. I've picked through the ABIS-72 with it. It will do the American lock. It does not do it very well, but it will do that one if you're desperate. Since we're talking about locks, it doesn't do super well, but will do. It'll do sergeants, sort of. It depends on how they're keyed. It seems like it. I mean, you can see it's not a very steep angle, so you're a little bit of a slave to that. But yeah, I picked through that. I picked through. Got a couple Ilcos. Picked through. Well, it'll pick that WB, some 6-pin schlegs. The tiniest lock I got it through was this little tiny luggage lock. I did actually manage to pick that with the Sparrow's Tron. So that should tell you how important that shank width is. Yeah, so I mean, this one pick will get you through a lot of locks. Even got these ICO kind of Euro style cylinders, and it will do these. It doesn't do them well, but it will pick through those. I have picked a Smart Key quick set with this one, with the Tron as well. So this is kind of just, it's a pretty cheap Euro style, the ICO, but the 15 thousandths actually is what I ended up picking most of the time initially with. Oh yeah, it will do an Everest. The only problem is it is not quite enough to manipulate that check pin in the back. It doesn't really get in there well. So unless you're going to poke it up from the bottom, this is not an ideal pick for the Everest. But that tells you how far it'll get you, right? I mean, you're running from your master lock, anything will open, you know, all the way up to your ABIS-72. Let's see if I've got anything else in here that I know I've picked with this one. It's pretty much a lot of the same. But I mean, that's a lot of locks. You know, and keep in mind, you're going to be hung up for a long time kind of in this Schleg territory probably for a bit. Plus, you can get these as well as the quick sets. When you're starting out, I mean, you're going to be picking probably a lot of these because you're able to find these at restores and yard sales and all kinds of stuff. So you're going to end up with a ton of them. And they're good for learning on. But that was it. That was the pick set. Some Topa keyway tensioners, and 2 picks. Okay. The 2 picks together, what you're looking at by the time you ship them and everything, $12 range, right? And then $12 I think was for the tensioners. And that'll get you through a lot. Okay. So after a while though, I knew I was like, I needed some more picks. I was starting to reach the limitations of what I could kind of do with these. And I thought, okay, I'm willing now to invest in a good set for myself. And so I went out, only half of it's still in here, but I picked up the Dangerfield Praxis set. I think this sells for about $50 to $60. So let's call it $55. And what I really liked about this set was I knew I was more of a picker than a raker. And I liked the idea of being able to go, I need this pick, but I just need it to be a little bit thinner. And since the Praxis Dangerfield set is probably most known for having 23 thousandths picks and 15 thousandths picks mirrored on the other side, it just seemed ideal. The Southport kit, it's got different thicknesses and stuff in there, but they're all over the place. So, you've got the standard pick in there, but it's not repeated again in a thinner size. So you end up changing the shape if you need a thinner pick. And I liked the idea of going, oh, this works. It just needs to be a little bit thinner. Hey, I've got that. And I still say, this is a great little kit. I'm not a fan of the case, but, for $54, I think you're right in what you should be spending budget-wise. And they're good little picks. And it's nice to have one basic set that's mirrored. So that's what I got. Picked up the Dangerfield Praxis set. Then just over time, let's move some of this out of the way. I decided to treat myself here and there. And I kind of knew more what I was looking for and what I wanted. And so we come to what's my current set. Let's get these back in here. I am not super organized, but I try to be a little bit. Just leave the tensioners out. So I picked up the SS Dev hooks from Sparrows, right? And I do really like these. They're just like what everybody says. When you need them, you really need them. And it's good to have on hand. So I thought, why not? So I picked those up as a little treat to myself at one point. Knowing that I liked that Southward pick, but that the shank was too fat on the original one. It was in the original kit we had bought. I picked up some of these recently. These are from their Slimline collection, and I'm really liking these as well. So honestly, I don't know what the names of these are. Southport names things with some weird number combination. I don't remember what it is. They're picks. I like them. They're from their Slimline collection. Go look them up. That's all you need to, Like I said, the 15 thousandths short hook from Sparrows is still in the kit. I do really like this pick. It's proven to be fine. It does initially feel like it's held together with the neck of an infant, but it's worked out so far. I was getting real into DeForest hybrid picks, and I had a little bit of extra money, and I kind of wanted to experiment some more with those and those shapes. So I picked up these from the Southport Slimline as well, just to kind of play around with them. And so far I have been liking them. They've not proven as great or I haven't picked, I guess, as much with them as I have with the Deforest from the Praxis set. But I am enjoying these. They are a little weird, and it could just be my imagination, but it does feel like there's a little bit of spring on them, kind of going that way. And it makes you, I think, kind of want to lift a little too hard with them for what you need to do. So I think it's mostly just a mental thing for me, but because I was kind of experimenting with those Deforests, though, I also picked up one of these from Sparrows. This is in their 15 thousandths. Okay. This turned out to chew up these Euro-style ICOs pretty well. Oh, I forgot. I've also got this Yale Kite lock that I picked through with the Tron. Though, again, it is not ideal. Something like this with a 15 thousandths was actually a lot better. Okay, so we've got these are my two kind of go-ish to ones. Again, it's the Sparrows Tron, which I've already sung the praises to. And then I liked the Tron so much, I bought the Attila, right? Because I thought, man, the Tron is awesome. I'm going to love the Attila. I don't love the Attila. It's been fine, but it's not proven really to be any better or interesting or anything than, I guess, any of the just standard hooks and the other Deforests that I have. So a little bit disappointing, but I still break it out a lot. And I test it out in a lot of locks. Like I said in the other video, like just play around, you don't know what you're going to discover. It was playing around that I discovered this gets through a lot of the Euro locks, or at least a lot of those kind of common basic Euro lock styles that I had. Then I hung on to these from the Praxis set. These are from the 15 thousandths side. So we've just got their standard hooks and their, I gotta keep using this paper, it works better, and their Deforest hybrid. Okay. And honestly, that 15 thousandths Deforest has just been an absolute workhorse for me. I use it actually on a lot of the Sargent locks that I have, and it just kind of tears through them. I originally had all of these plasti dipped, or at least I guess 90% of them plasti dipped, but I ended up peeling it off because in this case they didn't pack as well, and you can see it. I mean, it's my sloppy plasti dip job is the problem, but I peeled it off just so they would pack a little bit better. So then we've just got more tensioners, and these are just tensioners that for the most part came out of the different kits. I don't even know what came out of what at this point. It's just all mixed up. Put this back later. And while I was playing around, I had some extra money and was purchasing some stuff. I also picked up these picks from Sparrows. This is in their 20 thousandths line. And they've proven to be fine. I got a little interested because the 15 thousandths seemed a little too flimsy. And I wanted something just a little bit stronger, but not 25 thousandths. And so I thought 20 would be a nice place to kind of split the difference. And so far, they have been rather nice. I do like them. And then, like I said, I'm not a big raker, but they pack flat enough, and I had room in the case, that I kept some of the picks around from the Praxis set in the 15 thousandths. I mean, honestly, they're thin enough. Why not? You can, if you need them, they're just right there in the back. No problem. And then I've got this sucker, and this is actually a Southord pick. It's fairly beat up, though you're not going to be able to see how banged up it is. This was actually their postal hook from the 20-piece kit I had originally bought. We're never going to use that postal hook, I discovered. And I thought, you know what, let me just break out the Dremel and shape it into something I'm actually going to use. And so that was the result. And again, early in the video I mentioned, you know, the $7 just being so ridiculously cheap. You know, at $5 to $7, yeah, why not just pick it up at some point maybe and just reshape them once, you know, if that's something you're into. I get that a lot of people don't want to sit down necessarily and take the time to finish their picks or polish them all up or do whatever. I completely and thoroughly get that. But if you know, if that is an interest, or even just making picks, but you're not maybe sure where to start with making them, you're a little bit nervous, shit, you know, buy a $5 kit and just practice reshaping on it. I mean, you're going to lose $5 in material when you're starting out trying to make picks anyway. Yeah, so get something that at least has a basic shape, I guess, and just grind away on it. Get some practice in, especially, you know, if you've never used a Dremel before or a grinder, you know, you want something that's kind of throwaway to practice on. So that is my current pick set. So there we go. I can't think of anything else I probably should have mentioned. Oh, yeah, let me think for a minute here. Oh yeah, recap. Everybody likes a recap, right? So what would I get? If I knew then what I knew now, just starting out, and I wanted to be as cheap as possible, I would probably do what I pretty much did. I would pick up the Tron. I would pick up a 15 thousandths short hook and some Cutaway tensioner, some Sparrows, and I would just face the fact that my pick kit looked kind of pathetic if I was trying to show it off to friends. I mean, honestly, that's the cheapest thing I can think of that will get you through the most locks. That said, I would, you know, really seriously consider just going straight to the Dangerfield Praxis set. I mean, that set it's a really decent set, and it'll get you really far. It'll get you through a lot of locks. You'll learn a lot using it. There's another one by a company called DCA Power. They have a 15-piece pick set. I think it sells for about $30. And it looks really interesting. Honestly, I think I would be a little bit torn if I was just starting out and didn't know anything about them between this and that DCA Power kit. And maybe I can put a link to it in the description. I get kind of lazy with stuff like that. But yeah, I think I'd be torn, and I guess I could maybe see myself going and buying that one because I'd be saving $20, and I could apply that $20 then towards, I mean, that's basically the price of the reload kit from Sparrows. So that would put me in a little bit cheaper. It doesn't have the picks mirrored like this kit does, but it still looks like a really good basic starter kit. It looks pretty interesting. So yeah, there we go. Let's see. Yeah. Oh, I also have this. I actually won this in a YouTube giveaway, but I have not had a chance to use it because I simply do not have any locks for it yet. I really want to find something that this thing's going to work on because I'm very curious to get in and give this a try. So I don't know if you've got an idea of something to pick up somewhere. I need to stop buying picks and start focusing more on locks at this point. I'm starting to drag up into that area where the locks I really want to kind of pick on and try, I'm not going to be finding them most likely. The odds of finding them at the used restores and stuff that I generally frequent are probably fairly low. So I think that's where the money needs to go at this point, is into the locks and not the picks. Again, you know, you pick up a decent first set and you know you're in the clear on your picks for a good long while. Okay, so there we go. I hope you've enjoyed the video at least a little bit. I know my introductions are actually probably a little bit more interesting, but yeah. All right, see you guys later.